Adam and Jesse didn't even let me get out of my chair. Colton Sissons is a Leaf. And if you've been watching our streams, or if you watch them all throughout the playoffs, you know this is a pretty exciting deal for me. I'm happy about this. Another 2-year deal. We had Jack Roslovic 2x4 earlier. That video is also up on this channel, and you can watch us talking about that on the SDBN YouTube channel. Holy smokes, content, bazooka. That's not how a bazooka works. That was a machine gun. But you get the idea. Colton Sissons is 2 years, 4.25. So a slight upgrade on Jack Roslovic in terms of cap hit. Really not much. What we were talking about with Roslovic is how much center is this guy going to play, because he took over 250 faceoffs for the Edmonton Oilers last year. He was 6th on the Oilers in total faceoffs taken, even though he only got into 69 games. But do you really want, like, if Matthews took too many defensive zone starts last year, we don't really want him doing that as much. We don't really want Tavares doing that. We definitely don't want Roslovic doing that. Maybe Roslovic ends up on Matthews' wing. Maybe that's what he ends up doing. They're buddies. But who plays center for them? Bogru is definitely an option, but who else are we talking about? We definitely have one of our answers here with Colton Sissons. So a little bit of a background on Colton Sissons, who I know a ton of people are sleeping on, because this is his 3rd team in 3 years. But between 2013 and the end of 2025, he had only played for one NHL team, which sounds ridiculous on account of it's 2026. From the 2013-14 season until the 2024-25 season, Colton Sissons was a right-handed center for the Nashville Predators. He was a 2nd-round pick, 50th overall in 2012, and the old heads will remember that the 2012 draft was completely insane and unhinged and weird and difficult to predict, and most teams did pretty crap. Sissons, at 50th overall, is actually in the top 20 for that draft class in games played. That's how many games this guy has played. In his career, 756 career regular season games, and he's played a lot in the playoffs. 93 career games, 33 career points. His 2 most notable playoff runs were 2 playoff runs where he went to the Stanley Cup final. In 2017, a lot of you are going to forget this one, in 22 games, 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points with the Nashville Predators when they ultimately ended up falling to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Hunger. This year with the Vegas Golden Knights, again, 22 games played, 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points. They ultimately fall short to the Carolina Hurricanes. Hunger. Sissons is 32 years old. He's going to turn 33 in November, but it's a 2-year deal. I am not scared about the age with Sissons at all. Like I've already mentioned, shoots right. And I think I was starting to talk about this earlier, but we've done so much content today that I forgot. Jack Roslovic took a little over 250 faceoffs last season with the Oilers. Colton Sissons took 614. That's not a center. That's a center. That is a century center. He led the Vegas Golden Knights in shorthanded faceoffs during the regular season with 133. Jack Eichel was 2nd with just 91. Beyond them, Brett Howden was way further down with 38. In the playoffs, did that change a bit? Yes, it did, because Vegas went out and they got Nick Dowd, who they made a bit more of a specialist. He took 45 shorthanded faceoffs in the playoffs. Sissons took 26, which was still 2nd and ahead of Jack Eichel. In terms of shorthanded time on ice, you're going to see a similar trend. Out of Vegas's forwards last year, Mitch Marner led them in shorthanded ice time. Jack Eichel was 2nd. Colton Sissons was 3rd. During the playoffs, that did change a bit on account of Nick Dowd, but Sissons was still 5th among forwards in ice time, shorthanded. But I loved watching this player during the playoffs, and you know that if you watch me call the Stanley Cup final between Vegas and Carolina. He's a tenacious player. I know he... Here's the thing. The series kind of turned on its head when William Karlsson went down with an injury, and Colton Sissons was kind of asked to help pick up the slack there. They're not similar players. They're not even close to similar players. That's not Sissons doing a bad job. That's Vegas trying their hardest to make do. And obviously they weren't able to. And they were up against another Stanley Cup finalist. This isn't the regular season. every single night of that series, you're going up against the Carolina Hurricanes, and you're just going to have a bad time. Among forwards last season, Sissons was second on the Vegas Golden Knights in blocks to Mark Stone. Add to that, he was fifth in hits with 93 in 66 games. This is such a prototypical grunt, third, probably fourth line center, and he shoots right, which I keep saying, and that might get exhausting, but heading into today, I'm going to remind everyone, outside of William Nylander, the next right-handed forward the Leafs had was Ryan Twerberg. Now you can add to that Jack Roslovic and Colton Sissons. And if you think it's not a big deal, I can assure you it's a big deal. Someone from the Leafs told me that last year. Oh, Steve, acting like you know people. I do! So, ultimately, and it looks like there might be breaking news that I'm going to have to do another video for, the Leafs headed into today needing to add to their forward group. And John Chaika said, sure thing, and traded Nick Robertson. And then they needed even more guys. And I was sitting here going, okay, I know they're going to do stuff. When's the stuff happening? When are they going to do it? And they just got Jack Roslovic. Now they've got Colton Sissons, and it looks like they're not done there. What do you think of this deal? Is this a little bit too much money for a guy who ultimately is probably just going to be your fourth line center? I'm not sure. Maybe it is. Does this mean Bo Grew is potentially your third line center? Because you got to remember, people are penciling him in as fourth line center. Down the stretch, when he was killing it, he was not their fourth line center. He was their third. Is Bo Grew going to be your full-time third-line center next year? Or at very least a full-time center out of camp? He might be. All of these questions we will find out soon, and maybe it's a question that'll be answered by the news that I still have not read. For now, that is it for words. That is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell your friends. The SDPN YouTube channel is the place to be. We're talking about this all day long. And Jesse ordered a delicious platter of Greek food that it's right there. I can see it, and it's getting cold. John, you're killing me.